Your knowledge of contract language is imperative.
You must know what a violation looks like if you wish to be active in its cessation.
It is important to understand that being active and knowledgeable affects your overall bargaining strength.
Together, we can forge a more militant NALC.
Good morning, letter carriers, and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, the podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. We got a short one this morning. I'm a little wrapped up in creating LMOU proposals. I've got about 60 active Formal A's that I have to further develop contentions for. I'm preparing for the Q&A episode with Walt McGregory, and I'm working on my own campaign for vice president of my branch. But I figured, even though I said no episode this week, I would squeeze one in anyway. I think that there's been less and less podcasts, so I kind of figure maybe I should fill a space if someone wants to listen to something. I just want to go over a few short topics. And before I start, don't forget that tomorrow is the last day to submit any questions for Walt McGregory to answer. He said he would answer anything. Please submit these questions to Parcels of Knowledge Facebook page. I got a pinned post. You can also direct message them. First, I would like to start with advice for CCAs. I'm going to lead by example. You'll see what I'm talking about later on. You CCAs, I just want to let you know you are not on call. If you're getting called in on a day off, you do not have to answer or go in. Obviously, if you're in your 90 days, you go through the motions of what you need to do just because you can be fired for anything within your 90 days. But after that, you are undeniably not an on-call employee. Do not answer the phone unless you want them hours. And whatever you do, do not text message management. It only leads to issues. Management can tell you the day before to come in, face to face, and you would have to work. If they leave you a note at your case, it's debatable, but you kind of got to come in if you've seen it. But if they're calling you or texting you at 6 a.m. to come in or to come to another station on a day that you were scheduled off, you are in the clear, as long as you don't answer the phone. If you don't want the hours, don't answer. Simple as that. They may try to give you shit for it when you return, but that's part of our daily struggle. Management's here to push us around. And if we want to have any sort of rights, we need to stand up for ourselves. They can't tell you to come in. They can't tell you to report to another station. And they can't tell you to come back to the office to get more work or to go to assist on another route unless you answer. Do not answer if you do not want to be on call. You are not required to even give them your cell phone number. If you have a home phone, I would suggest you use that. You do have to give them a number, but I would give them a home phone number because they don't need to reach you on your personal cell phone. They don't pay your cell phone bill. So do not use your cell phone in the performance of your duties. Our scanners have a two-way communication feature. Tell management if you want to get a hold of me on the route, you can either come out to me or text me on the scanner. Make sure you seasoned carriers are supporting your CCAs and making sure that they know this. And this kind of segues into my next and main topic. I think these new CCAs do good with a mentor. As carriers, it's our general duty to mentor those who are junior to us. Hell, even those senior to us, we can all learn from each other. We all have our memories of being a new letter carrier where we quickly learn that carrying mail is not as easy as it looks. Most of us usually turn to the senior carriers for advice, and most of the time they were willing to go the extra mile to teach us the ropes of being a letter carrier. I do believe the new MOU supports CCAs having mentors. That starts on July 1st. If that's the case, I think it's time to revisit what being a mentor really equates to. Mentoring is simply a relationship in which a more experienced or knowledgeable person helps guide someone less experienced or knowledgeable. Mentoring is a process of transmitting knowledge and support relevant to work, career, or professional development to the recipient. Here are the following things you need to keep in mind when being a good mentor. First, you got to focus on being there for the person you're mentoring. Make commitments in caring ways which involve taking part in the learning process side by side with new letter carriers. Let them know that you intend to help them through their probationary period and until they reach an acceptable comfort level with their new job. Most importantly, protect them from overreaching supervisors. Let them understand what solidarity truly means. Secondly, you got to show them the ropes. You got to make something understandable or use your own example to demonstrate a skill or activity. Lead by example. Show them what you are talking about by your own behavior. A mentor can help the new letter carrier over the usual bumps and cut through any unnecessary work. You can explain the ins and outs of day-to-day tasks and help eliminate needless things that may be currently going on in the workday. A mentor helps get the new carrier's work done more quickly and efficiently. And make sure that they're learning good habits, not habits that will help cut routes. Too often, we're teaching them how to take the shortcuts that we were taught, and we need to break those habits. Third, you got to work on sowing. You got to sow the seeds of the future understanding. Sometimes, what you say may not be immediately understood by a new letter carrier, but it will make sense and have high value a little later. We can't absorb everything, but if we put the seeds there, we're setting the stage for their future knowledge. Mentors are much like parents, in that they look for teachable moments in order to capitalize on the experience while it is fresh on everyone's mind. The person that I think of is Jeff Krula. He was really good at sowing the seeds of future understanding. It really makes a big difference. And then lastly, we got to focus on harvesting. Pick the right fruit or create awareness of what new letter carriers have learned from their experiences and help them draw conclusions about their work and the union. If a new letter carrier is not yet a member, make sure you give them an opportunity to sign up. Bring them to the union, or if you are the union, make sure to ask them if they would like to sign up. If we as members don't step up to mentor new letter carriers, we're leaving the door open for negative influences, such as management, exerted by people who do not support or promote the values that we need to be militant letter carriers. We must not let this happen. But mentoring shouldn't be limited to the workplace and the letter carrier's job. A good mentor should always invite the new letter carrier to the branch union meetings or make them feel comfortable. If you're friends with them, invite them to the things you do after work. At the union meetings, make sure you introduce them to all the branch officers and explain the function of the branch and opportunities for involvement that it offers. Too often I see carriers who are misunderstood about what the branch can do or what they are, but we need to start teaching these carriers as they come in. This will have long-lasting effects on new letter carriers and may help develop the branch and the members to be more active for tomorrow. For example, I always harp on people with habits that contribute to losing routes, like route protection issues. And these are the type of things where a branch would normally respond to them overnight. When it comes to a 7-day count, all of a sudden you got these classes being taken. But a class is not going to change things because these are deeply embedded habits. Your job as a member is to develop positive habits, habits that will embetter our career and our craft, not habits that have been slowly sinking us for the past few decades. With the MOU, New Employee Experience Retention and Mentoring Program, NEMP, being effective on July 1st, which was something my branch was a pilot for, I think it will be more important than ever to brush up on our mentoring skills. Let's go over some of the things that the MOU plans to put into implementation. I'm going to read from the MOU now. New Employee Experience and Retention. Prior to leaving the Carrier Academy and reporting to their employing office, all newly hired city letter carriers will receive the following: contact information for the applicable employing office, including the direct phone number, email address of the employee's immediate supervisor, the office phone number, address of the delivery unit, building access information, and the employee's reporting date and time. A defined work schedule for the employee's first week in the delivery unit. This schedule will include anticipated reporting, start and end times, including daily hours of work and scheduled days off. It will also identify days specified for training with an on-the-job instructor, OJI. An employee's first day in the office will not be on a Sunday. An employee identification number and instructions for completing time reporting records. No later than the first day in the employing office, following completion of the Carrier Academy, or as soon as administratively possible, all newly hired letter carriers will receive, and it's got two things: a new USPS branded reflective vest, mail satchel, and hat. These employees will also receive dog spray and all other items regularly supplied to new employees. Introduction to and familiarizing with the employing office, including a facility tour, introduction to union steward officials, management staff, and other key personnel, and locations of communication/bulletin boards, and the introduction and tour will be performed jointly by USPS and NALC representatives. Ooh, looks like a whole bunch of new things to grieve, because I doubt management's going to be sticking to these things. Additionally, the following policies will be in effect. All CCAs and PTFs will be guaranteed a minimum of one NS day each service week, except during the penalty overtime exclusion period. This exception to receiving at least one non-scheduled day each service week during the penalty overtime exclusion period does not apply to CCFs or PTFs during week 1 through 8 following completion of Carrier Academy. Effective beginning week 9, CCAs and PTFs may volunteer to work beyond 6 days per service week. Following completion of the Carrier Academy, work hours and work locations for CCAs and PTFs will be limited as follows. Week 1 through 8, restricted to working only in their employing office. This includes restricting these employees from working in hubs outside of the employing office. Weeks 1 through 4, limited to a maximum of 8 work hours per day and 40 work hours per week, including OJI training. Weeks 5 through 8, limited to a maximum of 10 work hours per day and 56 work hours per week. Effective beginning week 9 through 11, limited to a maximum of 11.5 work hours per day, consistent with ELM 43232, and 60 work hours per week. Effective beginning week 12, limited to maximum of 11.5 work hours per day. All CCAs and PTFs will receive a defined work schedule, identifying anticipated non-scheduled days, start and end times, and route assignments. The schedule will be posted by the close of business on Wednesday of the preceding week. All newly hired city letter carriers will receive training on Sunday procedures with an experienced employee prior to performing Sunday delivery services on their own. We got to be checking on these CCAs on Sundays. I know we're not here, but we got to call them about how their first Sunday went. Progress reviews for newly hired city letter carriers will be conducted at 30, 60, and 80-day intervals in accordance with current guidelines. During these progress reviews, local management will identify opportunities for improvement, provide constructive feedback, and consider additional OJI hands-on training as necessary. Copies of these reviews will be provided to the local union. Will. That's strong language there. Employees will have access to updated route books and maps. Woo! We don't even have that as regular carriers most of the time. Prior to delivering a new route assignment, employees will be provided reasonable time to review the route book and, if desired, converse with another carrier familiar with the assignment. That's going to break some people's morning silent time. They should grieve that to begin with, though. That's not even a thing. To the extent possible, newly hired letter carriers will be provided consistent route assignments to help promote competence, route knowledge, quality of service, and familiarity with the employing office. It is the party's expectation that newly hired letter carriers will be given the same assignment as was worked the previous day to the extent possible during their first 12 weeks. In circumstances in which a letter carrier is assigned to work on a route with which they are not familiar, the reasonable amount of time necessary to become familiar with the route will be considered when evaluating the carrier's performance. New employees are prohibited from performing work outside the city letter carrier craft during their first 90 work days or 120 calendar days, whatever comes first. During the first 90 work days or 120 calendar days of a new city letter carrier's employment, a meeting should occur prior to any voluntary or involuntary separation. When practicable, the new employee, a union representative, and their mentor, and the appropriate management representative should discuss the reason for potential separation and whether there are possible alternatives or resolutions to address the underlying issue. Mentoring program. Research concerning mentoring programs has shown that mentoring relationships increase retention rates and help employees adapt to new workplaces. Employees who have workplace mentors have been found to be more likely to experience greater job satisfaction, and mentoring relationships can help eliminate obstacles, difficulties, and stumbling blocks new employees may encounter. Additionally, effective mentoring programs provide opportunities for new employees to freely ask questions, gain information necessary to effectively perform their jobs, and help build effective and diverse organizations. With this in mind, a mentoring program will be established for all newly hired city letter carriers. City letter carriers interested in serving as mentors may submit their names to the postmaster or branch president, or their designees, for consideration. Mentors will be jointly selected by the applicable NALC business agent and USPS district manager or their designees based on the following criteria: sufficient understanding of USPS policies, rules, and regulation, ability to convey a positive image and attitude, demonstrated good communication skills, safe working practices, and regular attendance, commitment to 4-month mentoring relationships, during which time the mentor will make themselves available for telephonic and or in-person discussions during regularly scheduled work hours. Willingness to meet both independently and with mentee participation with management concerning the work performance of mentee. Ability and willingness to successfully complete a mentor training program jointly developed by the national parties. Once a reasonable amount of time has been provided for employees to volunteer as mentors, the local parties will begin to facilitate mentor-mentee relationships. Pairings will be jointly selected by the local parties. Mentoring relationships established by this program will include the following. When practicable, the mentor will participate in the mentee's tour of the delivery unit, introducing the new employee to colleagues and providing them with an overview of the workroom floor. The mentor or mentee should meet regularly, as needed, to discuss the mentee's experiences and to address any work-related concerns or issues the mentee may be experiencing. Such requests may not be unreasonably denied. Like, for example, maybe you can go meet about the advice about not using your cell phone or being on call. That's what I mean by leading by example in the beginning. The mentor should provide encouragement and advice to the new employee regarding their performance and the ability to adapt to the requirements of being a city letter carrier. During the first 120 calendar days of a mentee's employment as a city letter carrier, whenever possible, topics and results of any discussions related to the performance of a mentee, including 30, 60, and 80-day evaluations, as described in Handbook EL 312, Section 584, should be shared with the mentor. Note, the new employee may choose to not have this information shared with the mentor. So that is all I'm going to read from that specific provision. It's a new MOU. I think it's very important. I think that this is a great thing. It's worked in my area as a pilot program. The only criticism I've ever had about this shit is it is subject to a ADR, which means, it's basically fucking useless. But now that it's incorporated into the national agreement, it's going to be subject to the grievance procedure, which means that finally now I can file grievance on management not following this program, which I'm sure you're going to deal with a whole lot. Just like I have, but I haven't had a way to actually address it. But anyway, together we can collectively have the responsibility to develop our future carriers. We owe it to ourselves and to those around us to step up and be the proper mentors to these new CCAs. We even have a responsibility to develop the knowledge of those around us. Like I've said before, every one of us has the ability to learn something. Today, I hope you have learned something valuable from this podcast. Sorry it's a little short and less informative, but as always, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if you have anything to say about my podcast, please feel free to comment. I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say, good, bad, or indifferent. As always, stay strong.